Good morning. Welcome to worship with the community of First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm Reverend Shari Woodbury, the congregation's minister. A special welcome to visitors. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It's a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It's a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, we welcome you to bring your whole self into this space. Visitors are invited to fill out a visitor form. If you're here in the pews, it's a yellow form that's in the hymnal racks. If you're online, you'll find a link to an online form below the service description on YouTube. Filling this out gives you a chance to get on our e-list for our weekly Friday e-news and just learn more about the church and things that you might want to get involved in. Let's see, a few announcements. I'm going to share the winners of the chili cook-off last night. Very exciting. The meat chili winner was Catherine Plumley for her real beanless chili. The veggie chili winner with the chili name Frederic, ending in Q, wonder what the story is there, is Jesse Stallings. And costume winner, did he wear it this morning, is John Hureska. Thank you to all our volunteers who helped make that happen and everyone who turned out for a good time. Let's see, this morning, if you are new to First or maybe thinking about the membership process, even if you've been around for a while, you're invited to First Steps today, starting at noon. I misspoke, Pathways, starting at noon and running until 2 p.m. Our membership and admin manager, Melissa Gibson, will have snacks. Yes, to tide you over through lunch. She's just raising her hand out there. We will look at the UU denomination, history and governance of our church, and the membership process. Existing members are welcome to join in too if you'd like a refresher or are curious about what the membership team does. It's a great chance to meet newcomers and engage in a bit of spiritual exploration. If you can't make it today, make sure you're getting our weekly newsletter for updates on the next opportunities, and you can also reach out directly to Melissa. Her email address is admin@firstuuomaha, that's FIRST.org, and again, that's Melissa friendly waving at the back there. That's Pathways to Membership at 12 noon in the Merit Lounge. The Merit Lounge is just down this hallway in the corner with the windows and the very comfy couches. A nice place to hang out. Let's see, if you are interested in the No Kings rallies that are being planned 4 weeks or so from now, I think, you are welcome to join in a brief conversation with our social justice team. We'll circle up shortly after the worship service ends here toward the front of the sanctuary. It turns out there's 2 rallies, so we're going to talk about that and decide where we want to be. And I'd like to invite Linda Parker forward for a special announcement related to Women's History Month.
March 8th is International Women's Day, and the Social Justice Team would invite you to a forum on March 8th, next Sunday, from 9:15 to 10:15 in the Common Room. The forum is titled Her Story, My Story. We wish to celebrate the women of today's First Unitarian Church as they share their stories about experiences, events, ideas that helped them become the wonderful women that they are today. All are welcome at 9:15 in the Common Room. Hope to see you next Sunday.
We affirm that our church occupies the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha and Otoe-Missouri tribal nations and express our respect as well to the Northern Ponca, Winnebago, and Santee Sioux tribes. We invite everyone to support local causes, charities, and rights of Indigenous peoples as we aim to do together as a community. Again, welcome to worship. invite forward to light our chalice this morning Erica Irwin and Otto, who, as it happens, is turning 10 on Tuesday. Will you join me in the chalice lighting words? Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. Thank you, and advanced happy birthday, Otto.
Come into this circle of love and justice. Come into this community where we can dream and believe in those dreams. Come into this holy space where we remember who we are and how we want to live. Come now and let us worship together.
I invite you to rise if that feels good in your body and join in our opening hymn, number 1008 in the Teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Each week, we put into practice our spiritual value of generosity as we take up a community offering. Half of undesignated gifts go to a local cause which resonates with Unitarian Universalist values. If you're online or prefer to give with your smartphone, you can use the QR code or link in the program. For March, our Share the Plate recipient is Access Period. Access Period works to end period poverty by ensuring menstruation is never a barrier to showing up for work, school, or life. 1 in 4 people who menstruate will experience period poverty in their lifetime, unable to afford the products they need. Since 2022, Access Period has distributed over 4 million period products across Nebraska and into bordering communities, impacting approximately 85,000 people. They work through 3 main programs: Access Points, which are unrestricted locations where anyone can take products. We have some here. Community Partners, trusted organizations distributing through their existing networks, and schools, supporting students and families. Most products are provided in 3-month supplies rather than minimal amounts, and no one is required to prove their need. If you'd like to learn more, you can go to accessperiod.com. Thank you for giving generously as you are able.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This year's stewardship theme is simple and strong. I'm in. I'm inspired. I'm included in this community. I'm invested in its future. First Unitarian is a place where you belong. It's where we gather, question, sing, serve, and show up for each other. What happens here matters in your life and beyond these walls. For the next fiscal year, 26-27, we've set a stewardship goal of 315,000. That's an aspirational goal, but it's also a responsible goal. It gives us stability, and it gives us room to grow into the kind of church our times call for. Starting today, on each of the 5 Sundays in May, you'll hear members of our church share why they're in. And after service today, if you didn't already get a letter from Melissa when you came in, you'll receive a letter in the mail. In that letter will be the letter, a pledge form, some giving guidelines, and also an invitation to the potlucking, and pledging party coming up in 2 weeks. It's at noon. And beginning next week, we'll have a table in the common room if you'd like to drop your pledge off or if you have any questions. If you are able to, we ask you to consider increasing your pledge this year. No one gift carries this alone, but together we create momentum and impact. So if this church inspires you, if you feel included here, and if you're invested in its future, I hope you'll join me and the Stewardship Committee in saying, I'm in. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Marie Sedlacek, and for those who may recognize me but don't usually meet, and we don't talk at coffee hour, so I'm happy to be here this morning to speak about why I belong to this church, and why I pledge to this church. Briefly, I came to First Unitarian in 1985 to hear my sister Vicky play the piano. She's a professional musician, and she was subbing for Pat Will, the organist, who took a sabbatical. Vicky left after her stint here to go to a church job elsewhere. I stayed, and I joined. The membership book was on a small desk in the foyer. Anyone could sign, and I did. In fact, some people thought it was a guest book. Were they surprised? When I first joined, I had no idea that joining a church also meant a financial commitment. I was a little naive. Later on, probably during the stewardship campaign, I got a call. Oh, you want money? So I can be a member in good standing? Okay. I don't remember the amount that I pledged, but I did. In fact, in the past, the church used to pay a per head fee to the UUA so that members were asked to pay at least that amount. That has all changed. I was asked by the Stewardship Committee to speak on this Sunday, first Sunday of the campaign, for one primary reason, I think. I feel relatively comfortable speaking in front of groups, and that is an okay reason. But this past week, a couple of lines from Measure Me Sky, the anthem we just sang, kept going through my head. I have been little so long, is one line. And the other one is, loveliness, wings for my flight. They have different messages, so I wondered, why is my brain connecting to them? Well, they have the same rhythm. I have been little so long, loveliness, wings for my flight. One is a recognition that we have a tendency to limit ourselves. The other is a recognition that what we have to offer is good. It is good enough. It is more than good enough. It is valuable. I am not a major donor to this church. I never have been. I am probably a run-of-the-mill donor, but I am consistent. Consistent in that I have always given a donation, even if occasionally I've had to adjust the amount to fit my budget, like you. Most of us have our favorite activity here. We are asked, and we serve on committees, boards, teams, or help with events. All of this is so very important. If we were not active in contributing time and effort to this place, it is good and valuable time and effort, there would be no Sunday service, no programming, no building, no staff, nothing. Likewise, if we don't contribute monetarily, it is a good and valuable thing to do. There would be no Sunday service, no programming, no building, and no staff, nothing. The wings to our flight would be little so long. We need both. Your participation and your stewardship contribution. That is what I have done through the years and still try to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. As Colin comes forward to share joys and concerns that have been submitted by members of our community, I'm going to invite us to observe a moment of silence and perhaps ask Mary Kay to place another stone in the bowl for all those whose lives have been lost or are placed in jeopardy by another unprovoked attack on a sovereign nation. You may have seen in the news the attack on Iran carried out yesterday by our country in coordination with Israel and without authorization by Congress. A moment of silence to mourn every life lost to this violence.
And following on the wings of that statement, Gene Wagner wrote, "Please keep our service members in harm's way today in your thoughts."
Thank you, Jane. Military action has costs for every party involved. And I'm sure there are other joys and concerns that are simply held in the heart, and we gather them all up in this community and hold them in our hearts. And as we hold all of those joys and challenges that we share, I invite you to sing with me from your seat. Number 1009, Meditation on Breathing. You can sing whichever part feels good. On the wings of this music, I invite you into a time of contemplation. You might want to check that your spine is straight. Perhaps rest your eyes. Perhaps make your hands comfortable in your lap. After I share a common prayer, we will rest together in a time of shared silence. During that period, you may offer your own silent prayer, or perhaps visualize all beings being filled with peace and love. I'll end the silent time with the sound of a bell. First, I share this meditation inspired by the choir's anthem. Spirit of life, as we breathe in and breathe out in this spacious place, let us feel the openness of sky. The sanctuary reaches up toward the lofty sky above. Sky smiles at us through the tall windows, too. Even with our eyes closed, we may feel the freedom of sky touching down in us. And what of we, who have been little so long, who perhaps feel little today, under the weight of the world's woes and our own life's challenges? Horizon, reach out to us, stretch our spirits out toward you, that we might feel our smallness to be but an illusion, that we might know that we are infinitely infleshed. Rim of the world, widen our minds, that we might ever learn more, see more, and find hope in the expanses. Earth and sky, be our heart's span. Hearts that sometimes feel full to the breaking of the beauty of this world. Hearts that sometimes feel broken by loss and hardship. Hearts that know love, for we have been loved and we have loved others. May our spirits take wing ever upward, and may we bring back to earth the gifts of beauty and freedom and love that we find. World without end. Amen. A time of silent contemplation. The salt of the earth. Do you know this phrase? The salt of the earth. The phrase refers to a person or group of people characterized by kindness and reliability. To say they are the salt of the earth means they are hardworking, honorable, down-to-earth people. Another colloquial way of putting it is Them's good people. This morning, I pick back up with a sermon series on our Midwestern heritage that I began at the end of January. Midwesterners are generally salt of the earth type of people. As you may recall, if you were there for that intro sermon, I traced several cultural patterns that apply both to the Midwest at large and specifically to Unitarian Universalists in this region. Those four interwoven cultural patterns include an enthusiastic embrace of democratic norms, both politically and culturally, that's small d, democratic, a belief in education and lifelong learning for all people, a more middle-class society with less economic and social hierarchy than in other regions, and pragmatic, get-her-done attitudes, salt of the earth. As historian John Locke chronicled it, the 1800s Midwest saw many drives for reform, often led by people of faith and rooted in mainstream Christian teachings. Social uplift and community betterment were, Locke writes, organized via a dense network of civic institutions in the Midwest and generally concerned with the forces that distorted the Republican order, that's a small r, Republican order, that people had worked so hard to build. Locke contrasts community in those times with today, writing of a social system that was bolstered by a strong civic culture, a common culture of books and reading, and a spirit of idealism and reform. In our own period of decay, he observes, an era of callow tweets, sensationalism, celebrity worship, extreme loneliness, and mass and manufactured and purposeful distraction, all of which is unleashing rampant anxiety and depression and devouring our young. This old culture, Locke suggests, deserves a second look and not our condescension. Now, congregations were a core part of that old culture. Churches, like this one, were central hubs of social life, character development, and civic engagement. They were engines for the rest of Midwestern civil society. A congregation like First Unitarian can continue to serve such functions today to the extent that we invest in it with our resources and our active participation, as Marie so beautifully shared with us. Now, as the region developed originally, another notable feature of the egalitarian, pragmatic Midwest was flexible roles for men and women. Locke writes, Midwestern agrarian life meant equal participation in many forms of work and community life. In fact, I was interested to learn that the Midwest was the most pro-suffrage region in the country during the fight for the vote for women. Locke writes that various advances in the Midwest would finally lead to women's suffrage, a cause greatly advanced by women who were products of Midwestern co-education and veterans of temperance campaigns and other social reform movements. In a moment, we'll hear from one of the most notable of those Midwestern women, Mary Safford. Mary Safford was the catalyst for the Iowa Sisterhood, a network of female ministers who served Unitarian churches in the Midwest and beyond during the final decades of the 19th century. Safford served numerous Unitarian congregations, including churches in Sioux City and Des Moines. She also spoke tirelessly on behalf of women's suffrage and was much in demand as a guest preacher. In fact, at the invitation of Newton Mann, Mary Safford once delivered a sermon at First Unitarian Church of Omaha. This was in a service dedicating an addition to the church building when it was located at 17th and Cass Streets. This morning, Linda Parker shares several excerpts from another sermon of Mary Safford's. This one was first delivered to the Western Unitarian Conference in Chicago in 1989. Words of Mary Safford, speaking to Midwestern Unitarians, calling them to invest in their religious traditions and its institutions.
So beautiful is that vision which gleams upon our sight as people of the liberal faith, that we marvel that any are indifferent to its worth. When is one sure that all things are rooted in unchanging love? We have organized this church, but are we doing all we have in the power to do to help it grow, to make it a center of light and warmth in this community, a center from which there will constantly radiate the truth that liberates and lifts, the love that strengthens and consoles? Do we realize the obligation that rests upon us to carry forward our noble enterprise to larger and yet larger results? Are we alive to the fact that as eternal vigilance is the price of liberty, so eternal activity is the price of growth? That neither as individuals nor as a church can we make progress without effort and sacrifice. Oh, friends, if we would only be obedient to the heavenly vision that we enjoy today, would only proclaim most earnestly in words and deeds the glad gospel of eternal love, what might we not accomplish during the next few years?
Safford's language may sound old-fashioned to our ears, obedience to a heavenly vision, but the sentiment underneath her biblical turns of phrase is very similar to the one you will hear from our stewardship team this year. There's much we want to do to fulfill our mission and live out our values. All of us are included in the joys and learning and the bringing to life of what really matters through this church. And all of us are invited to invest in its future so that we can do that and even more going forward. Continuing to proclaim most earnestly in words and deeds the glad gospel of eternal love. Or in more contemporary lingo, putting love at the center as we support each other and the community around us, as we transform each other in the community around us. One of the chroniclers of Unitarian history in our region, Charles Little, once served this very congregation. In describing the spread of Unitarianism westward from Massachusetts, he notes that in some areas, our liberal tradition was met with some amount of resistance. Extensive efforts to bring Unitarianism to Minnesota, including a Norwegian mission, for example, met with a good deal of success, but they also faced pushback. In contrast, Little writes, there was no opposition to liberal views among the Nebraska pioneers of New England lineage who settled in Omaha. Little names the Joslins, among others, as part of that group. Little sees an alliance of culture with religion reflected in First Unitarian Church of Omaha's Bond of Union, which dates to 1890. You can see it there on the slide, and I'm going to invite you to echo me in delivering an excerpt of the Bond of Union. If you can't read it, don't worry, you can just listen one phrase at a time. So we'll do this kind of call and response style. You ready? Basing our union on moral and religious purpose, rather than upon any dogmatic statement of belief, and emphasizing the religion of character, in daily life. Above all creedal confessions. We invite to our membership all who are seriously drawn to us in spirit and aims. Little tells of how Unitarian churches in this region took up literary, educational, and humanitarian activities. They increasingly zeroed in on true religion as being primarily Jesus' spiritual and ethical teachings. The region, Little says, embodied a rational faith, yet intensely rapturous and lyrical. Science and philosophy, he says, were fused in it with genuine religious fervor. It had both head and heart, as I hope we still do. I learned something new about First Unitarian from Little, that during a period when All Souls Unitarian, as the church in Lincoln was then called, was limping along, not exactly thriving, this church's minister at that time, Newton Mann, supported them with neighborly ministrations, which I'm guessing means some guest preaching and maybe some support and encouragement for the lay leaders of that congregation. This pattern of generous sharing and collaboration and exchange with other area UU churches continues today. Being in relationship, not only within this congregation, but across neighboring congregations, benefits us all. I turn back now to John Locke, historian of the Midwest in general. He writes, dissenting religious groups, with the exception of the Mormons, and utopian reformers found a home in the Midwest. He observes that one historian linked this openness to the joyous pantheism of the frontier and noted a strain of religious skepticism as well. So to me, I hear that the historians seem to be pointing to characteristics of Unitarian and Universalist religion, embrace of wisdom from many sources, and welcome of rational thought and humanism as positive forces in religion. That kind of breadth of inspiration may seem unremarkable to us today, certainly in a Unitarian Universalist church. Sometimes even a bit in other progressive traditions flowing out of the Jesus heritage. But it was quite new when Unitarians and Universalists began expressing such broad-minded ideas in Midwestern congregations. Let's hear again from Mary Safford.
We are entering upon a new era of religious thought. The old creeds are rapidly being outgrown, but there is danger that in the strong reaction from many old-time beliefs, men and women may lose sight of those saving truths, those eternal principles of morality without which life is not worth living. There is danger that in throwing aside the superstitions of the past, they may also lose that reverence and moral earnestness that are indispensable to real progress. Hence, the work of the liberal church today is to be obedient to its heavenly vision. Not only must we proclaim the saving truths we hold, we must also strive to build up these truths in our own lives and in the lives of others. But for the loyalty to the truth, the heroic self-sacrifice, the unfaltering devotion of those who in loneliness and anguish of soul were true to their convictions in times past, you and I would not enjoy that religious liberty which is our priceless heritage. We must realize our debt to the past, a debt that we cannot pay save by being brave and true and helpful in the present.
I don't know about you, but I agree with Mary Safford. Even still today, as new people find Unitarian Universalism, and those of us already in the tradition continue to grow and develop in our faith, hanging on to the heart and soul of Unitarian Universalism is a worthy challenge. Not only high aspirations for a more just society, a greener world, but also the reverence and moral earnestness and commitment to shared life that enables us to live out those beautiful dreams. Our Unitarian forebears knew about this. They knew about heeding the spiritual example and ethical teachings of Jesus with continued fervor and dedication, while welcoming in the new knowledge brought by science and the arts. From Newton Man and others arguing that true religion had nothing to fear from evolution, to our wrestling today with artificial intelligence and its ethical place in our society, for example. As long as we stay clear on our purpose as a congregation, as a faith, we will have positive contributions to make to all of the challenges of our time. The salt of the earth. The salt of the earth. Midwest Unitarian Universalists at our best are the salt of the earth. The phrase has more than colloquial meanings. It appears in the Bible as well. From the book of Matthew in Christian Scripture, chapter 5, verse 13, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its zing, how will it be made salty? It then has no further use than to be thrown out and stomped on. The first part of the selection, you are the salt of the earth, is a variation on similar language found in Mark and Luke about salt that has lost its saltiness. Only Matthew's twist seems to point specifically to people who were part of the Christian community as the community was defined at that time. Now, I was interested in the Council of the Jesus seminar on this matter. I value their perspective. And they observed that the insider-outsider dynamic implied by this take on salt of the earth, those were discriminations that Jesus himself rejected historically. So the writer of Matthew may be taking liberties with his turn of phrase here. And I am going to stick with our contemporary Midwestern understanding of salt of the earth, which is not exclusive. It's simply describing some characteristics of persons. But consider the next part that appears in Matthew. But if the salt loses its zing, how will it be made salty? It then has no further use than to be thrown out and stomped on. Scholars from the Jesus Seminar believed that Matthew's version aligned, in sentiment at least, with the known teachings of the historical Jesus. This feels authentic. Another version appears in Mark, chapter 10, verse 50a. Mark puts it this way: salt is good and salty. If salt becomes bland, with what will you renew it? With what will you renew it? What is this aphorism communicating? The saltiness, the zing, is good. If it becomes bland, it must be renewed, the zing restored. I hear in this that our sense of purpose as a religious community, our passion for making a difference in the lives of our members and the world around us, that is critical. It's not enough to just go through the motions of being a church. We need to know why we are here. We need to be motivated by a deep and abiding love for one another and for all those around us. We need to take pragmatic actions to keep growing, to express our love in concrete ways, like working to preserve democracy in our society, as our social justice team gives us ways to do, like supporting members of the congregation through illnesses and new babies and other occasions, as we do with our caring ministries, like coming together as a bunch of households in the church are doing to provide food for an immigrant family in collaboration with Restoring Dignity, because we recognize the inherent worth of all people and the absolute necessity of good food in every belly. Coming back here week after week, we fill our hearts with love and amazing grace. We breathe in peace and breathe out love. We rekindle our connections in community. Let's hear one more time from Mary Safford, who knew something about how to maintain or restore the zest of this faith.
If there are any here today who rejoice in the great truths of the liberal faith, but are doing nothing to support this faith, let me urge you for your own sake, as well as for the sake of others, no longer to be disobedient unto the heavenly vision. If you have money to give, give it freely, give it gladly. If silver and gold you have none, give time, give thought, give work, give anything you have the power to give that will strengthen this church and help to make it a beacon light to storm-tossed souls. If you can do nothing more than simply come to church, be sure to come each Sunday. Come not merely for your own sake, but also for the sake of the noble cause that is strengthened by your presence and your interest. Ask not, is it a fashionable church? Is it a popular church? Is it a wealthy church? Ask only, is it a church that proves the right to be by the grand truths it Is it a church that proves the right to be by the grand truths it proclaims, the good work that it does, the noble lives it helps create? Heed no ignoble questionings about popularity, wealth, or fashion, but obey your heavenly vision. Be loyal to the truth that you see. Bravely stand for your convictions and work for the human good. Then life will grow divine.
One of the noteworthy things that happened in Unitarian congregations in this part of the country historically was a cultural shift toward shared ministry rather than a more top-down model of ministry. The Iowa Sisterhood of Women Ministers that Mary Safford was part of on the frontier in the late 1800s contributed to that shift, bringing a different leadership style that built community and developed leadership of those around her. Later, the fellowship movement of the 1960s and 1970s, which planted more Unitarian and Universalist congregations, continued that trend. I don't know if you know much about the fellowship culture. This was not a fellowship church here, but many congregations in the Midwest are, including my home congregation. Fellowships were originally lay-led, and as such, they developed lay leaders more extensively. This period, again, also saw many women enter into leadership in UU churches, bringing with them more egalitarian and collaborative approaches often. Holly Ulbrich, writing on the fellowship movement, notes how it facilitated the emerging pattern of shared ministry between lay leaders and professional religious leaders. The model of shared ministry eventually spread from fellowships to more traditional churches that had long had ministers like this one, and it now is the norm in most Unitarian Universalist congregations. I bring forward shared ministry because it is so consistent with the can-do, pragmatic, egalitarian spirit of both the Midwest in general and Unitarianism in this region. And our ministry, all the ways we support connection, learning, care, justice, it is shared not only in terms of talent and leadership, but also in financial support. To echo Mary Safford, this pledge season, I invite you to bravely stand by your convictions. With your pledge and your participation, you can declare, I'm in. You are included here. I hope you are regularly inspired here. And I invite you to generously invest in our shared future. As a salt of the earth people, a people of kindness, reliability, and pragmatism, let's get her done. Let's secure our shared future, the legacy of this church that we will leave for those who come after us, who perhaps will quote people we know in their future sermons about Unitarian Universalist history. Let's secure that legacy with pledges this stewardship season. May it be so. Amen. I invite you to rise for our closing hymn, if that feels good in your body, number 1028, The Fire of Commitment. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. But take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone.